Half-Life 2 is one of the most critically acclaimed games ever made, winning tons of awards and becoming a household name for Valve. But despite all that, I never finished it. Yeah, it's been collecting dust in my library for quite some time now, but not anymore. I am going to beat Half-Life 2 and record all of it so I can show you guys. But there's a problem. Making YouTube videos takes up a lot of space, and right now, I have just enough storage in my computer for around 12 hours of footage. And looking at all my estimates, this game takes anywhere from 13 to 20 hours to beat in the first playthrough. So making this video would theoretically be impossible. So I did the only reasonable thing and started the game anyway. After what felt like an eternity, the game actually begins.
Okay, Gordon, you're gonna have to make your own way to Dr. Kleiner's lab. Oh man, that's what I was afraid of. Get in here, Gordon, before you blow my cover.
And so I start making my way through CD17, seeing the state of the world after the Resonance Cascade, and noticing that my FPS is dropping quite a lot. And after not finding a solution, I decided to just pray that the problem resolved itself, and continued on exploring the city. After seeing the Metro cops searching for some suspects, and committing minor property damage, I started running away from the Combine, climbing into rooftops and seeing my FPS drop even further. At this point, I didn't know if it was the game, OBS or something else on my computer causing this, but I decided to leave it for later, since I was getting my ass handed to me by the Combine, so that Alex can appear and save me.
Dr. Freeman, I presume.
After the most awkward elevator ride in human history,
Man, a few words, aren't you?
we finally reach Kleiner's lab. As you guys probably have seen the sequence far too many times, I'll summarize it. We enter the lab, I dissociate from the conversation entirely, Barney arrives and gives me the AGV suit, Amar, a fuck ton of dialogue, we teleport Alex, they teleport me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, and I am back at where I started. Barney meets me outside and gives me something I dropped back at
Black Mesa.
and I am finally free to start beating the shit out of the Combine. Breezing through the first fights with the Metro cops, I finally decide to see what the fuck is causing stuttering in the game, so I open OBS to see if I can change something. And it's here, ladies and gentlemen, that I fuck up tremendously. Instead of trying to mess around with the finer settings OBS provides, I simply changed the video encoder to low CPU usage. This completely fixes stutter, but unknowingly created a much bigger problem. You see, this preset exchanges CPU usage for file size. My recordings were on 4GB per hour footage. Now they are 10GB per hour. To put it simply, the time I had to beat the game went from 11 hours and 20 minutes to 4 hours and a half. And you wanna know the best part? I didn't notice. Going through the canals of CD17 was mostly a breeze, since every corner there seems to be a resistance member to help me out with some health, information, or just to fight off those pesky manhacks. As sending troops to shoot me wasn't very efficient, the Combine started to send missiles loaded with headcrabs to try and stop me, but I have my trusted crowbar to help me out. After running for my dear life and away from the missiles, I encounter a resistance member that is preparing the airboat for me. She tells me to go to the Red Barn to meet with more of the resistance and to drive hard and fast, so that's exactly what I do. At the Red Barn, all the people there have turned into zombies, leaving me with only a cache of supplies for the trip. Continuing on the path of the Old Canal, I encounter a gate that needs to be opened to proceed. Then a video I watched a few years ago resurfaces onto my mind, and I remember there is a speedrun skip you can do here by just getting on top of the airboat and shooting an explosive barrel that is on the other side. By doing that, I save some 10ish minutes, so that is a big win for me. That happiness doesn't last long because there is yet another gate right after that, and I actually need to get out of the airboat to open it. Entering the control building, I get a revolver that somebody left unattended and make a few victims on my way to this warehouse. Entering, I get absolutely demolished by a few manhacks and 3 soldiers, leaving me with only 12 HP, and so desperate I start to tap strafe. Thank God there was some health packs nearby, so I proceed on with the usual slaughtering of the Metro cops. That is until a chopper wanted to play along and made me hide in a little corner until I had the chance to
Run like hell.
I get to the tower, open the gate and rush to the airboat to try and run from this helicopter, just to be shot by him quite a few times in the process. After finally shaking him off, I enter a tunnel, just to be greeted by another one right on the exit. After some more dangerous driving and puzzle solving for my part, I arrive at yet another resistance checkpoint, where a Vortigaunt magic welds a gun into my airboat and sends me on my way. After this, I head to the last part of the chapter, where I fight against a hunter chopper that is pesking me since the start of the chapter. This boss fight would be difficult if I didn't just lock my mouse to the chopper and kept shooting at it. After that, I had to open the floodgates, jump to my inevitable demise, and reach Black Mesa East. In it, there was a lot of complicated lore I do not care to explain, a gravity gun and a dog. While playing fetch with the gravity gun, somebody ratted the resistance out, and the Combine started an all-out operation to destroy the place. And after being separated from Alex, my only option was to navigate the even stinkier tunnels to reach. As the game transitions to a much more serious and dark tone of Ravenholm, I decided to take a little break and stop the recording. It's here that I finally noticed that something is wrong with the recordings, since I only have 36GB left instead of the 44 I was expecting. So I started frantically messing with every setting OBS provides to fix both the stir and the file size problem, but it wasn't an easy task. I got the number down from 10GB to 8.5, 6 to the much more reasonable 5.5GB per hour of footage. What this means in a practical way is that I have some 6.5 hours left to beat the game, which is a third less than I expected in the beginning, but better than the 2 hours and 56 minutes I had just now. Back to actually beating the game, going through Ravenholm was a horror circus because of the night setting. Screams of agony coming from the zombies and the sheer amount of things trying to kill me, from spinning blades to the new poisonous headcrabs and these fucking tanks that take so many bullets to kill it's easier to just use a grenade. The city is also rigged with traps set up by this priest guy, who after seeing that I am here to help, gives me a shotgun and tells me to meet him at a specific building so he can take me out of this godforsaken place. I make my way through the streets of the city relatively easily, since even though it is scary, there is nothing that a 12 gauge can't really fix. And after killing countless enemies and navigating through dark corners of the city, I arrive at that building, where the priest here tells me to wait for him to get an elevator up to me, while I hold out against the fast zombies. Fortunately for me, I have good aim and the zombies come up climbing these pipes, so they are easy targets for the good old... The elevator arrives and I finally get to the last section of Ravenholm, where me and the priest fight through a graveyard filled to the brim of enemies to access the way out of this hell. The real problem with this section was the priest AI that refused to move at times, making fighting the enemies harder and more time consuming, since I don't get the help of my ally. After finishing the rest of the undead off, the priest lifts his gate for me to pass, says his goodbyes, and I make my way to the mines. Here, I try and avoid most of the headcrabs scattered around, and I start searching for an exit, but the path isn't really clear, so I end up doing some pointless cave exploring. After I find a trail leading up, I turn on this death machine and climb up the last part, finally being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But unfortunately for me, it's just City 17 again. As I'm going through these railways, the Combine sends sharpshooters and heavier troops with shinier guns to kill me, but unfortunately for them, the Resistance finds out about it and helps me clear the troops. They take me to their base, and there I learn that Eli, this guy, has been captured, and that now my mission is to break him out of Nova Prospect. But as teleporting technology isn't the greatest around here, they give me a car, some ammo, and send me on my way, therefore starting Highway 17. As this chapter is mostly driving, I would take this opportunity and thank you for watching this far along into the video. It means a lot to me. Now, back to Half-Life. The first actual stop here is at this resistance base that is being attacked by some Combine ships. To deal with them, Colonel Cabbage gave me a fucking rocket launcher and told me to have fun out there. I gladly obliged and took the gunships down and proceeded on with my way. Not too far down the road, I get to this warehouse place, riddled with soldiers and my worst enemy, physics puzzles. I tried getting this bridge down in various ways, but nothing seemed to work. That's when I noticed the massive fucking crane next to me, and the solution seemed a bit more obvious, and I even got some kills with it. After hoisting the car up, I once again continued my long drive to the new prospect. Next stop was this village, close to a bridge, where I got the crossbow and nothing happened beyond that. As the bridge was blocked by these shields, I entered the underside of it, as I had nowhere else to go, so the control panel for the bridge must be there somewhere. But as it turns out, the bridge wasn't really the most friendly thing to walk through, but I managed nonetheless. As I got closer to the control room, Combine soldiers started appearing, and I had to fight back against them, and I even hit this sick-ass shot. After disabling the shields, the Combine stopped playing around and sent a battleship against me, putting me on a tight spot. I ran back along the bridge towards this crate of rockets, finally giving me a chance to murder that shitty ass ship and make my way back to the car. Crossing the actual bridge, this train ran me over twice before I figured I didn't need to go into the tunnel, and finally passed that section. I entered a different tunnel and proceeded on to go into 4 really insignificant encounters that then lead me to finally reach the end of the section, the lighthouse. The Resistance members are expecting a Combine attack and tell me to get off the road and help fight off the dropships. So I climbed to the lighthouse and started fighting, because the Combine started sending ships with soldiers for 5 minutes straight, and I shot down every single one of them with the RPG. After all was said and done, they opened the secret passage under the lighthouse and sent me on my way, finally starting a new chapter, Sand Traps. Advancing on this beach, I get to this arena-like area where suddenly a huge antlion arises, so I pump him with rockets until he's not moving anymore. Then a Vortigern arrives and extracts some pheromone pods from the antlion, now giving me the ability to summon them on my will out of anywhere that has sand. He then leads me onto a really big cutscene section that isn't really worth talking about. Finally he opens a passage to the beach that leads to the prison, and tells me the resistance is counting on me, and finally lets me go. And it's here, ladies and gentlemen, that I do a big fuck up. Cause instead of fighting my way through the beach to reach a passage in the end of it, I decided to go into the water to try and skip the combat, cause the pillbox fire was unrelenting on this part. But I ended up going too far and getting stuck between these two pillboxes, and quick saving there, practically soft locking me into this corner. After dying quite a few times trying to kill the pillbox guys, I started trying to make a run for it, but that didn't work out as well. So I admitted defeat, loaded another save, and started plowing through the beach again. So that's basically what I did. I basically shot and killed everything that moved, clearing every pillbox, every trench, tower, until I got to the cliffside that gives me access to the prison sewer system, that then led me to the patio. On it, I was sniping the tower guards and advancing more into the prison, until a guard shot up a flare. I didn't really get what it was for, so I continued on advancing, plowing through anything that standing on my way, until a gunship arrived to give support to ground troops. Thankfully, I made short work of it, knocking it out of the sky and making it crash into a nearby building, finally giving me access to the inside of the prison. Entering the prison, the Combine left these turrets lying around to make my way inside harder. But what really fucked me up was this giant antlion that curb stomped me before I could even react. Thankfully, I still had some rockets left to induce him into a calm and relaxing sleep. But then the Combine realized that they needed more than a few turrets to stop me, so they sent a whole squadron to create as much resistance as possible to my advance, and that they did. These fights were really hard, and I even snuck under a table in a moment of desperation, but in the end, me and the antlions plowed through any resistance that dared intervene. After a long and winding path through cell blocks, kitchens and laundries, I reached yet another antlion arena, but this time I had no explosives to use, so I just pumped the big thing with lead until it stopped moving. This arena leads me to this weird path that then makes me meet up with Alex. With her by my side, we are able to hijack a control panel and bring Eli to this little window here. He tells us that we are stupid and that we should not have gone back for him. Alex simply ignores the old man and promises that she will rescue him very soon, and instructs me to go clear a path to the inner part of the prison. While doing that, I reach this control room, and she tells me to hold up here because there is a lot of soldiers coming this way, and to use these 2 turrets to help defend myself in this location. So for the next 10 minutes, I am playing a tower defense game against manhacks and soldiers with low health until Alex finally decides to arrive via vent system. We hack another terminal and find out that Sweater Lady snitched on the resistance, and that she is also here in this prison. We split paths again, and I take a really sketchy route that ends up leading me to another tower defense section, but this time longer and way harder. After that is over, Alex joins me again, and we reach a place where Mossman is hiding. Mossman tries to plead with us about how she was helping the resistance, but Alex is having none of that, and says that we are all getting out of here, using the giant teleporter system in the next room. After setting the teleporter up, Judith betrays us once again, and jumps into the teleporter with Eli, and teleports to an undisclosed location. Meanwhile, the Combine reaches us and starts raiding the place, so I start juggling multiple entrances with turrets and my own guns to keep Alex safe. She ends up driving the teleporter, and then we hop inside, finally arriving at Kleiner's lab once more. He tells us that it's been a week since we teleported, and that in the meantime, the resistance in City 17 has gone out to the streets and started an all-out war on the Combine, with the intention of raiding the Citadel, where Eli is at. The Doctor sends me and Dog out to the streets to find Barney, starting Anti-Citizen 1. After finding a group of rebels to lead, we arrive at this minefield that the Combine left in the middle of a city block, with these clawed mines that take a lot of effort to rip off the ground, and they are explosion and bulletproof. Not only that, but the Combine is sending these drone things, dropping them out wherever there are people resisting. There are soldiers everywhere in the city, from apartment blocks and even out in the street, but me and the resistance clear them out, bit by bit. The Combine has set outposts, ambushes in buildings, and even machine guns on strategic points, hoping to not lose control of the city, but it's too late. After taking said machine guns, a resistance member on the other side of this rubble starts setting up some explosives to make ways for us to pass, and I provide him with cover from the endless Combine soldiers and manhacks. He finally blows open a hole for us to pass, and I start exploring this underground area. I find this very irradiated section, where I should obviously use physics objects to jump around and not enter the very bad water, but I am out of patience, so I just do some quick dips into the water until I find the exit. Leaving this area, I get directly impacted by a missile and reach this apartment complex area, where the resistance is fighting tooth and nail against the Combine in literally every single story of every building, even the ones that are burning to the ground. Alex finally finds her way back to me and leads us to a command center, where she briefs me that the mission is now to disable the Combine generators to loosen the Combine's grip on the city. This process involves Alex slowly hacking the pillar that contains the energy pod, while me and the other guys have to patiently wait and shoot off any Combine soldiers that are flooding the square with the generators on. And after killing so many of them, I finally disabled the generator, but there's a small catch. Just after destroying the energy ball, a lot of soldiers appeared and lowered my health to 16, so I hid behind these dumpsters. The problem is that there was still quite a few soldiers in the square, and I had to make a run to the other side of it. Then began yet another episode of me bashing my head against a wall until I can bypass the situation, and this time I actually managed to do so. After that, me and Alex were stuck needing a bridge in the spot, so she climbed this building to have a better view up ahead, and got kidnapped, leaving me alone for the rest of the path. After traversing through some tunnels and industrial sections, I'm back out on the street, but this time there are snipers everywhere surrounding this building, where Barney probably is. After clearing out the building and making my way to the upper floor, Barney asks for help with clearing the snipers out with grenades, and I happily oblige, chucking a grenade in every open window I can see until we are both safe. After that, we make our way through some more Combine buildings, reaching the... Getting into the building was a problem because of the beams of energy from above being generated inside, but once I found an entrance in the side of the building, that was no longer a problem. Once inside, the new problem was these floor turrets that needed to be activated so I could chuck a grenade inside them. With that, we took down one of the building's generators. After that, there was this long and winding laser room that me and the resistance had to fight through, and then me and Barney entered this strange room. But it turned out to be a trap, locking us inside and surrounded by Combine soldiers floating from each hole in the wall and doorway. But after much ammunition spent, me and Barney got out of the room and destroyed the other generator. Barney and I separate, and I go to the roof. But the Combine had other plans, cause they deployed a shit ton of soldiers and a gunship to try and stop me, much to no avail. After crossing a catwalk and going through a building, the only thing left to do to liberate this part of town was to destroy these pesky striders on the courtyard of the building. And like that, one by one I took them all down, and continued on tearing my way through the Combine's last desperate attempts to have some control of the city, fighting as desperately as them. And so, I reached the last City 17 shootout in the entire game, which starts in a parking lot-esque building with Combine enemies inside and a strider outside waiting to get the drop on me. After clearing out the building, I find a resistance member that leads me to an even more torn up area, closer to the wall of the Citadel. Here, the game plan is simple: distract the striders and make a run for it. But every right turn there are Combine soldiers that eventually funnel me into an arena surrounded by striders, who are fed up with me and are using a laser beam that obliterates even walls. This fight wasn't easy, but it wasn't meant to be. Me and the resistance fight for every inch, avoiding the striders' fire while demolishing the Combine soldiers in our way. We reached this elevated part of the rubble and finally get a fighting chance against the striders with this rocket box and a good line of sight. And after taking out those pesky alien spiders with guns, I see a way out of this hellhole. Taking it, I fall into a large road guarded by a ton of soldiers, but thankfully Barney and Doc came to my rescue, clearing them out before I could notice. Barney and I exchanged a few words, and Doc lifted up the wall guarding the Citadel, finally starting the very end of the game. I arrive at the base of the Citadel, and it's so huge I lose my ability to finish sentences. Oh my god, that's a... I find a way to hop into the actual building and immediately make a big blunder by entering one of those prisoner pods we saw Eli in. Now, if you're an astute viewer, you might have noticed that I have not shown the ominous timer in a while. Well, that's because there are 46 minutes left on that godforsaken thing, and these chapters are long and winding and cutscene-y, so I am screwed. The geopod thing drops me into a weird room with lasers that disintegrate every gun I have, except for the gravity gun, which can now grab people and heavy objects. So now, the only way I can go is up, and a few Combine twats on my way won't stop me. After a few rooms of literally shocking people to death and throwing their dead bodies at their comrades, I arrive at this weird corridor room, which is the bane of my existence, since it has a lot of Combine soldiers and it's an open space, making for a harder gunfight, in which I have no guns. But that's not really the problem. The problem is the fucking strider in the last part of the corridor that completely butchered every attempt I had at passing the corridor, since I can't hold up an object to protect me, since every time the strider shoots, the gravity gun drops the object, giving it the opportunity to shoot me down. The only way I found to pass the shitty part is to hide behind these bendy things and shoot energy balls at the walls, hoping one of them reflected just right to kill the strider. When I finally got the lucky shot, I moved on to yet another of these prison pods, which, after roaming around for a while, led me to the bad guy's evil lair, where the sweater lady accompanied me into a room with Breen, Eli, Alex, and her. Breen gives a big monologue about what's good for humanity, which goes on and on and on and on until Dr. Mossman betrays him and frees me, leading Breen to run away like a little bitch and try to teleport to his alien masters. Alex then tells me to go down the building so I can go up the hard way, since she doesn't have the access to the terminal to simply shut down the portal. There, the Breen fucker is literally in the bubble, and I have to go through these moving metal parts of the building to reach him. 15 minutes on the clock, I'm going up. 13 minutes, I'm failing to scale this weird tower. 10 minutes, I reach the last boss fight, where this big portal opens up and 2 gunships come out and I have to take them out with only the energy balls. 9 minutes, the first gunship is down. 8 minutes and 32 seconds, the second one is down. But I just didn't know what to do. The bubble kept rising and Breen got away. That's a game over, and that is a big deal since the checkpoint is at the base of the tower. 7 minutes, I'm at the moving parts. 6 minutes, I'm at the arena again. A quick save. 5:30, the first gunship is down. 5:11, the other gunship is down. I still don't know what to do, so I throw an energy ball at the top of the tower, and that is exactly what I needed to do all this time. But it's too late, and Breen escapes. 4:57, I quick load. 4:03, both gunships are down. 3:54, I start hitting the tower. 3:41, I hit the first shield, then the second, then the third, then the fourth, then the fifth, then the sixth, then the seventh, then the eighth. And finally, at 3:20...
Got to get out of here.
You know it's mine, twisted and tight.
With 1 minute and 26 seconds to spare, I beat the game. And with 96 megabytes to spare, my only thought was, how am I gonna make the video? Thank you for watching this far into the video. Making this video for me was a real challenge because it's way bigger than my typical video. So, if you liked it, please consider subscribing and leave a comment saying something positive about the video, or negative, I don't know. And that's it, have a nice day, and see ya.